Hello. Taking into consideration the astonishing feat of audacity carried out by Ukraine a few days ago, in which they destroyed much of the mighty Russian Empire's bomber fleet, and remembering the huge and grimly amusing bloody nose Israel inflicted on its imperial antagonist, Iran, this is of concern to all imperiums, from China to the USA, because it looks like the age of empires and the age of mammoth imperial weight is now over, and we're now entering the age of the flea. I'm Granniopteryx. Please click that like button. Apparently it helps the algorithm, and then subscribe and share if you're so inclined. If you're in a position to do so, you can also help my finances, the finances I fritter away on my horses. And you can do that via PayPal, Subscribestar, Buy Me a Coffee, or YouTube's very own Super Thanks. But remember, only if you can afford it. All right, let's talk about fleas. Georges Clemenceau, the French Prime Minister during World War I, observed that generals had a habit of fighting wars of today with the techniques they'd used in wars of the past. And I'd say that in the case both of Iran and Russia, their armies were sent in to fight wars of the past. In the case of Israel and Hamas, for instance, the shocking and barbaric tactics of Iran's proxy, Hamas, were exactly the tactics used by previous Arab armies, overwhelming an opponent with a level of viciousness intended deliberately to demoralise and subdue. According to Bukhari, Muhammad remarked that he was made victorious through terror cast into the hearts of the enemy. And that's exactly what Hamas was trying to do. And they intended to meet up with Hezbollah. That didn't work out so well, but that was the intention. And Russia went for Ukraine with the overwhelming fleets of tanks in exactly the way a World War II general would have gone for territory, as I said, in previous battles. And that didn't work out so well either. It looks like those days really are finally behind us. And it also looks like some of the most insignificant countries are going to be dominating the political landscape in ways that was simply not possible in the days of imperial armies. In fact, those countries with huge armies might actually be at a disadvantage. I don't think it's a coincidence that two small, light on their feet citizen armies managed to come up with inventive and unconventional battle techniques that would probably be impossible in armies with a more rigid chain of command. I suppose the first shocking hints of future warfare came from the Israeli destruction of an entire enemy army, and just about only the army, with the exploding pagers. And that was followed by the equally lethal walkie-talkies. I suppose here I should also at least mention the laser weapon the Israelis have recently put into operation. The mighty US Navy have been experimenting with a similar idea, which they called Helios, but it hasn't been commissioned yet. Of course, we don't know if the Israeli system really does work as well as they say it does. But if it does work, it costs $5 a shot. Now, I'm going to go off at a tangent here. I want to remind you that it's not only empires, military empires that we can be talking about. For instance, there's the empire of communications as well. We all know the MSM are dying on their feet, don't we? Well, look, there was a time when making a video like this, that I'm making here, and transmitting it would have cost thousands of pounds and required dozens of technicians in a highly specialised environment. Now, I'm doing the whole thing on my own in my attic. But I digress. I shall return briefly to remind you of the Israeli beepers. Israel is smaller than Wales, and it has a population around the same size as London. Iran has a population 10 times that of Israel and covers a huge territory filled with vast mineral resources. It also has enormous imperial ambitions, having already swallowed up Iraq and Syria. In previous centuries, Israel would have been toast years ago, but it isn't. In fact, its technology has made it, well, in my mind at any rate, at least as big as Iran. And now to Ukraine, again, fighting the imperial ambitions of Russia. Yes, I know I'm going to annoy some of my subscribers, or maybe ex-subscribers, but there it is. Whether or not you believe that Ukraine provoked Russia into aggression, the fact is that it's held back what would in previous centuries have been an unstoppable tide. And now Ukraine managed, without any Top Gun heroics, in fact without any Top Gun airplanes, seriously to cripple Russia's air superiority, which leads me to wonder if Top Guns and their expensive flying machines might be considered as much of a waste of resources in the very near future as a cavalry. Staying in Russia, again, Russia has they parked their airplanes out in the open because they got used to the idea of strategic depth. All that vast land that has traditionally protected the heartland of Russia from invasion, as well as the bitter winters. I mean, the winters are so bad that they have saved Moscow from disastrous invasion on many occasions, and that's all gone now. The last bulwark against invasion, the Russian winter. It was so reliable that the Russians refer to it as General Winter. But unfortunately, General Winter will be no match for a fleet of drones. So, both Israel and Ukraine are, well, they're going to be on the curriculum for generations of military academic studies. They have blazed a trail, and the nature of war is going to change radically over the next few years. And, okay, does this matter to us? Well, yes, it does, because pretty soon they're going to start applying it to policing as well. Think about that. Okay, till next time. You can help my channel by subscribing and clicking the notification bell. That's quite important. And by sharing if you're so inclined. Links to my other channels and to donation methods are in the description. But the best way you can help is simply by clicking like and notify. Thank you.